Hey folks, back again. Really hope this camera doesn't fall over. I have it like on a pile of clothes and some shoes and stuff I bought. I'll go into that in another video. What exactly that is and why that's so important. But it's a bit wonky. But what I really wanted to talk about today, and it's a topic that's really relevant to me right now. It's relevant in general, but um, relevant to my situation, relevant to Nofap. It's a topic of toxic relationships, toxic people. This kind of toxic influences on your life. And like for instance, right now I'm at home. Well, I'm not right now at home, but in general, like I'm in my hometown, and I've said in previous years my dad's overseas, so I'm here to kind of be the man of the house. And the side of my family that has caused probably the most toxicity or negativity in my life. Not counting like obviously like poor decisions that I've made, which things that I have to take responsibility for. But that side of the family is the side of the family that I'm with right now, and it's not to say that my dad hasn't contributed at times because he's kind of let them slide on things and facilitated or enabled them. Kind of like turn a blind eye to a lot of their abuses, you could say. Um, but I'm with that side of the family right now, and some of the toxicity comes from their views on my relationship with my long distance girlfriend. And needless to say, things have been going up and down. We've had our rough patches, her and I, but we've stuck together. It's been over 3 years, and I'm not naive about the relationship. I'm not naive about her. Um, she's a girl. I'm a guy. Different genders have their different mating strategies and different ways of getting what they want from their partner. And any relationship is going to be kind of a not necessarily like a war or unending conflict, but there's going to be a bit of give and take, a bit of the total tug of war sort of deal when it comes to different issues and that sort of thing. It's just kind of part of the territory. That's why in the past, whenever I've kind of talked about like MGTOW and mentioned things like that or the red pill, I've more so identified as a purple pill. I have my sort of red pill moments, my red pill rage, you could say, but I was generally speaking still into sort of the purple pill mentality of like um, wanting to still believe in romance and love and all that kind of stuff, and family and marriage and that sort of deal, but at the same time not being naive about you know female nature versus male nature and different mating strategies of the different genders, and um, the fact that like there's darkness in the world. There's evil, there's good, there's a bit of both. It's not all like a cakewalk. It's not all um, heaven on earth or what have you. But anywho, when it comes to dealing with my folks nowadays, like they're it's almost like it is kind of a struggle where I have a few moments of them being accepting of like me having this girlfriend or me continuing on with my education, not giving up even though I've had the setbacks I've had that make it such that I'm still in school at 30 without having graduated with a degree and all that. And it's not like I've served in the military or have some sort of excuse for um, that kind of excuse. Should I say the generic kind of excuse of, oh, I was in the military, or I worked for a few years or what have you, or I was I had a wife and kids or what have you. But sometimes there's moments of acceptance, but there's a lot of toxicity and negativity from them. And I could go into details, like my mother trying to imply that my girlfriend must be unfaithful to me, she must be catfishing me when I've been over there twice. I've talked to her for 3 years. I've investigated all these things about her. I've gained a pretty good picture of her. Now is there a chance that things could be fake? Well, yeah, but you can find that stuff over here as well. You could be living next door to someone for 5 years, 10 years, and you find out things after that time that shock you about that person. You could be um, dating a girl, or if you're a girl, let's say dating a guy, or whatever your orientation is. You could be dating someone for you know several years, and then you find out things about them. I'm reminded of the singer of Incubus, the lead singer, who found out that his girlfriend of 7 years was cheating on him, and that's right around the time that he made this song. What was it called? It's like the Can't remember the exact title of the song, but it's like, I don't know if it was it called "Pardon Me." But it's like that. "Oh, pardon me while I burst into flames." That's kind of like part of the refrain. Don't remember the exact title of the song, but he made it right around that time. Part of this album, and his grandma had passed away, and he found out his girlfriend of 7 years had been cheating on him, and with like his best friend or like the next door neighbor or something really shocking, not like some random guy. Which I mean, still it would still be shocking to find out that your girlfriend of 7 years was cheating on you, but it's kind of like adding insult to injury to find out that it was someone that she was cheating on you with someone that it was close to you and you trusted and and yeah. So that stuff can happen even if you're like physically able to see the person eye to eye, that sort of thing, day in and day out. So I've been getting that kind of treatment. I've been getting like just general negativity, and the fact that my mom gets drunk at night and then wakes up myself and my sister and just causes all sorts of problems and breaks things, and she like last night she spilled a bunch of butter in the hallway. I had to go clean that up so that nobody would slip, and it was like midnight, and we're all trying to sleep, and it's a sort of repetitive cycle, that sort of garbage day in and day out. But instead of just letting that wear me down, which I know it seems like that because I do get down, I do get anxious and stressed out. I feel heartburn, that sort of thing. But instead of just sitting there and taking that, I've decided to take charge of the situation to a certain extent. And I come out here to a park like this, and I just sit down and I read, or I make a video, or I just chill out for a bit. But I decided to take this book out with me, which is the one I've been working on, 40 Laws of Power, and just finished reading Law number 35, which talks a lot about controlling time, managing time, being patient, having control of your emotions, which is one of the big points that even up to this point, like I know I haven't read the entire book, but one of the main points has been that like if you want to have power in life, whether it's over your own life in particular, or you want to rise, have in power, one of the big things you have to have is control of your emotions. And whether that's relating to, like I'm saying, talking about toxic relationships, toxic people, what have you, that's like a big point of his book that I've seen so far. And that brings me back to the topic that I started off saying I was going to talk about in this video. Because as far as Nofap is concerned, I remember back in the day when I really was still like a PMO addict. I had a really close friend. We worked on a lot of projects together. We had a company we started together. That eventually fell apart, and part of it was because of his toxic influence on my life, and I didn't really see it at the time. I felt sorry for the guy. He was like Marine Corps veteran, PTSD, all that kind of stuff, and I wanted to help him because he was my friend. He was one of the guys who stuck up for me in high school when other kids would pick on me. And so I tried to return the favor, but he was also a porn addict. I'm being honest, he was a porn addict, and I was a porn addict at that time too. And it was kind of like once I started trying to move forward in life and really started making progress, getting my grades, to the point where I could transfer, obviously I still have to work on that, get my GPA up to a certain extent, but at least, but I got to the point where I could transfer. I complete all the classes. I worked for a bit, made some money, paid off some debts. Got my own place up north, transferred. That was the kind of the thing that pulled me up there, was transferring to my school and then getting my place up there, and started really moving out of this whole state of being weighed down and tied down by my family and past failures and events that had happened, and starting to really resolve those traumas. I started seeing a distance form between myself and this dude, and I don't think that he's a evil guy, like some manifestation of evil, which in many ways my father treated him like that because he felt like, oh, if you get rid of this guy from your life, everything's going to be super awesome. He's a major toxic influence. Of course not, admitting that him and the rest of my family, my dad and the rest of my family, were also major toxic influences that are still there, creating problems for me. But I got to a point where I had to decide, whether I was going to keep the friendship and, let things continue as they were, or try to take charge of my life and move on and that sort of thing. And it really sucked at the time. And there are times that I do look back and think like, I would have liked to maintain that friendship because, I had good times with this friend, many ways we became best friends, but I had to end that. And like, it's kind of like, moving away from my folks. I had to do that because if you stay with the same folks all the dang time, it's like, there's that saying that you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If you keep on doing that, you shouldn't be surprised if you keep on getting the same results and your life continues to have the same garbage in it that you've for years been wanting to get rid of. Um, and it's kind of interesting, but once I moved away from here, cut off that and ended that friendship, reduced the amount of time I spent with my family or contact I spent with them, even down to how much time I would spend talking with them on the phone. You see me here now, like I'm on 151 days hard mode, Nofap, and what is it? It's like 200 and I think 210 days easy mode, as I've defined it. Basically, 151 days porn and porn substitutes free, artificial sexual stimulation free, and 210 days with no masturbation or edging. The only orgasms I had have been from wet dreams at this point. So I've been able to get to this point. Why? Because I not only started doing things to move my life forward, to actually buckle down and focus on the work that I need to accomplish and actually doing that, but I cut out certain people out of my life who were toxic influences, who themselves had those kinds of problems but were unwilling or perhaps even unable to contend with them and overcome them themselves, and they just kind of accepted that as part of their life. That this is just the way it's going to be. And I got to the point where I didn't want to accept it. I was sick and tired of it. I didn't want to be a porn addict, fapping the rest of my life. I didn't want to be living in my parents' home the rest of my life. I didn't want to never have, accomplished earning an engineering degree, a STEM degree, possibly even having the opportunity to have a second chance at medical school or a military career or what have you. I didn't want to be the guy who never got married. He was like a 30-year-old loser in many ways. Which isn't to say that getting married makes you a winner, or being divorced makes you a loser, or never having gotten married makes you a loser. But it's kind of like in terms of what I determine, my values, my goalposts, my milestones. I wanted to have these sorts of things, and got to the point where I was just sick and tired of being denied it. So I made the necessary decisions, and it's going to be hard if you go through that. It's going to be really difficult and trying, but it's something that you have to do. Cutting out those toxic influences, cutting out those toxic people, and really being willing and able to step forward into that new land. You maybe feel like a stranger in a strange land, like the title of that Robert Heinlein novel. But if you have the courage to do that, you'll eventually get to where you want to get. Obviously, I'm not 100% there, but it's a heck of a lot better than where I was 2 years ago. I was just setting out on this journey to move out of my parents' home for the second time. Truth be told, but I had a far better bearing on things. But anywho, that's it for this video. I know I did mention the whole concept of like patience and controlling time. I didn't really talk about it per se, but maybe I'll cover that in another video. Just something kind of popped up because I was just talking about what I've been doing today, what I've been doing out here, that sort of thing. So I think I probably should cover that in the next video, and then I want to do like a 5 months update of where I'm at hard mode wise. So anywho, and the whole video on why I bought all these things that I just bought. So I think that'll be like probably about 3 or 4 videos. Yeah. Well, see you folks around. Thanks for watching my content. Thanks for the likes, the comments, the subscriptions. Really appreciate you taking time out of your life to hear me talk and at times ramble. So because it really helps just having so many folks watching my videos and just being sort of the sounding board for my thoughts, ideas, and experiences in life. And I really hope this stuff does help someone out there, even if it's just the point that okay, I'm not the only one going through this. That's it's always a good feeling. So anywho, I'll see you folks around. Bye. Bye.